Thanks for watching. My name is Patrick Searcy. I'm Director of Sales and Marketing with ALN Apartment Data. I'm with Jordan Brooks, who is Market Analyst and the author of our monthly newsletter articles that go out. And you can sign up for our newsletters on our website and the homepage anytime you like. It's free. Great information for you to have. Every month when he writes, he also has some takeaways that he has. It's the name of our new video series that we would like for you to subscribe to. And we're just going to provide a little bit more insight into each month's article that he writes. Welcome, Jordan.
Hello, thanks for having me, Patrick.
You're welcome. So this month, for August of 2020, you wrote an article called Checking In on the New Construction Pipeline. Before we jump into everything, would you give us a little bit of context around the volume of new deliveries so far this year compared to recent years that we've had?
Sure. So the newsletter article this month was mostly outlining markets with above average new construction activity. So overall for the nation, though, we've actually seen a slight reduction in new units over the last couple of years. And that holds up whether you look at year-to-date numbers through July for this year compared to the same period in 2019 or in 2018. It also holds up, though, if we look over the last 12 months. So in the last 12 months, we've had fewer new units delivered than in the 12-month period before that. And it's been a moderate reduction. It's been, about 15,000 units, give or take, from one 12-month period to the next in terms of the decrease. So we've seen a slight sort of shallow trajectory down in new supply.
The markets that you talked about in the article, they have an elevated volume of new construction activity. Is that activity concentrated just there, or is that more widespread throughout the country?
So I would say that the markets that we identified in the newsletter definitely would be more outlier type markets. These are markets that have very active new construction pipelines compared to sort of a typical market in the country. So in fact, if you look kind of around the country, more than half of markets have added new units equal to 1.5% of existing capacity or less in the last 12 months. And when I say percent of existing capacity there, what I'm referring to is what percent of existing units at the start of the 12-month period these newly delivered units represent. And so that really allows us to compare markets of different sizes when we're talking about what kind of new construction activity there is sort of across different markets. And so given that, you might think, okay, well, what does 1.5% of existing capacity really mean? And so nationwide, looking back over the last 5 or 6 annual periods, we've seen that on an average year, about 2.3% of existing capacity is delivered as new units. And then in the last 12 months, that figure was 2.2%. So recently, we're kind of right in line what has been sort of the near-term average, but there has been, as I said, just kind of an overall slight decline in the raw number of units delivered nationally.
What are some of the factors that you're seeing for how well they're going to deal with all of these new units?
Sure. So it's definitely not going to be a uniform impact. A couple of major distinctions. One would be the industry diversity of a market, and that's kind of regardless of the size of the market. So markets with employment bases in multiple major industries obviously are going to be a little bit more able to weather the storm that we're seeing from the COVID economic disruption and things like that. So compare that to markets where maybe they're dominated by the energy sector or the healthcare sector, one individual sector, tourism, retail, et cetera. So one distinction is just going to be how many types of industries really are significantly present for an employment base in the market. Another would be areas that are fast growing, consistently growing markets that maybe there's a lot of new units coming in that are going to take some time to absorb, but they will be absorbed, versus a smaller market that maybe hadn't seen much new construction in a few years, and so they finally decided to add some new supply, and it's turning out that might not have been the best timing, which of course no one could have known. So and then there are other factors, but for the sake of time, I think those are kind of two major factors.
What's something interesting that you found in your research while you were doing all your digging through all the numbers for the newsletter article? And I'm sure you found something else interesting in there that may or may not have landed in the article. What else can you share with us?
Sure. So one thing I'd like to point out is just the There's a little bit of misalignment between housing demand, which we know there's a lot of. Demand has decreased this year compared to what we're used to. But in a longer term trend, we know there's a lot of housing demand. There's an undersupply of housing. But what we're seeing now in the numbers is that the new supply volume that's coming in, though it has decreased in recent years, it is about to ramp up over the next 24 months. And these new units that are coming in are substantially higher rents than the existing units, which is fairly intuitive, but we're seeing a widening gap there. And so sort of just as an example, as of July, the average unit nationally was renting for about $1,360. And if you compare that to properties that have stabilized just within the last 12 months, so new properties that have been brought to market in the last year, the average for those properties is 30% higher, which equates to about $470 a month in additional rent. So we're really talking about a real price premium for these units coming in at the top of the market. So as I said, we may see a little bit of a mismatch between the number of units coming in and the price points they're coming in at versus the price sensitivity that is increasing as residents look for a little bit more of a value play for where they're going to be living during these sort of uncertain times.
Jordan, tell us what's next for you. What are you up to in the foreseeable future here?
Well, I'll be giving a presentation September 9th for the annual economic forecast conference for the Idaho Apartment Association. So viewers can be on the lookout at our social media channels for details on that. And then you can go to alndata.com/blog, and we put up a lot of additional analysis content there. And we're going to be looking at a few markets that have stuck out recently in terms of their performance, as well as some things that we've outlined here, such as what's going on in the different price classes.
Well, and because you brought it up, make sure that you're looking for us on LinkedIn or on Twitter or Facebook. You can find us just by searching for ALN Apartment Data. You could also subscribe on YouTube to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss any more of these videos. And tell us what you like about these videos. Tell us what you think that we should do with these videos and our conversations that we're having about the newsletter articles each month. Sign up for our newsletter articles on our website at alndata.com. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day. Thanks, Jordan.
Bye.